Well, a very good morning to you, Sakina, and the SABC viewers. Indeed, this morning we are coming live to you from the Sun City Resort in the Platinum Belt, Rustenburg in the Northwest, for that very important topic there of Consumer Rights Day. Of course, it is being celebrated here, and today we have seen different experts from the trade, industry and competition field, as well as the representatives of different national regulatory bodies here. We've also seen some of the representatives from national regulatories such as the National Consumer Commission and also the National Regulator for Compulsory Specifications, just to name a few. But like I just mentioned, now that we've seen a lot of different experts here, I'm not going to do much of the talking. In fact, I'm going to let my guests do the honors. And the first just joining me this morning is the Acting Commissioner for the National Consumer Commission, Tezi Mabuza. Ma'am, thank you very much for joining us this morning. You know, at the back of my mind, I always like to not assume that all of our viewers at SABC are from the same levels of education. Therefore, let's not assume that some things are obvious. So let's start with the basic, which is to define who a consumer is.
A consumer is any person that transacts. It's not only the person that transacts, but also the person that would receive a service. It could be a parent that is transacting as a consumer, but the child as an end user. But again, the Consumer Protection Act defines a small business with a turnover of below 2 million also as a consumer.
And when we talk about consumer rights in South Africa, what are we talking about? What are some of those rights? Because some of our viewers, they may think they don't fit the description of a consumer, but of course now they understand. So when we talk about these consumer rights, what are we talking about? What are some of them?
We are talking as your right as a consumer to be treated equal. That would mean that the price that is actually given to me should be the same price that you would enjoy in the market. The second thing is that you have to be treated fairly. And that would mean that the contract terms under which you contract should be fair. They should be explained to you in a language that you would understand. They should never be one-sided. That would mean that if the supplier has the right to cancel that contract, equally you as a consumer, you've got the right to cancel that contract. The third right that I would like to talk to is the right to a firm, safe products that we have to get into the market. That would mean that everything that is being sold to us, it has to be safe for the environment, but also safe for our consumption, and also meet the needs of us as consumers so that it doesn't harm us. But then the third thing about also the safety is that it should last as much as you would think of it to last. And the other thing that we are thinking of as well is the right to fair contract terms. In this case now, the one-sidedness of the terms and all that. And the other thing that is also equally important as well is that the right to information. This says to us that as a consumer, if you are buying any other product, you have to know what are the ingredients and how to use it, which country it comes from, how was it manufactured and all that, so that you can also be able to make your informed decision as well.
And then also when we bring it down to the practicality level, I think a lot of people on a daily basis, you'd find that consumer rights are being trampled upon by shops and shop owners, you may call it. And some of the consumers don't understand what it is that they have to do. For instance, one would walk into a store and see a certain price that are put on a product, and when they get to the till, it's a different price. Now, if you find yourself in such situations, what should consumers do if they have complaints?
If you have a complaint, the first thing that you have to do, I'm just going to use the very same example that you gave. It's a price that you see on the shelf, and then you go to the till, and then it's something else. What you do is you just stop there and say, I am not going to pay this. Go and check the price on the shelf. If they check the price on the shelf and they say to you, we've made a mistake, you said, the price that I saw is the price that I pay. If the barcode matches the price, that is the one that you have to pay. And if they are not willing to allow you you to pay that price, that would mean that as a consumer, then your right has been trampled upon. The first thing that you do is that I am going to lay a complaint. Let the manager know that it is a complaint. But the first thing that you do, you think of the first mediator that is available to you. In a province, we have provincial consumer affairs officers that are mediators. In that case, go to them and complain. They will mediate, bring the supplier and you together to come and reach up an amicable solution. And if that fails, then if you are in a province, the provincial consumer affairs officers, they also have that capacity to also now escalate, conciliate and investigate. If that fails, they will investigate. If maybe that fails as well, we see that it is a perpetual recurrence of those type of conduct by the supplier, then they will refer the matter to the National Consumer Commission. Our role as the Commission is purely to investigate. After we have investigated, we will become a prosecutor on your behalf, go to the tribunal, and then the matter will be heard and then a verdict will be given.
And just before we wrap up, we have this very important question to ask. In the past 2 days here in Rustenburg, we saw inspectors and environmental health practitioners going shop by shop, confiscating illicit goods and also giving fines or whatever punishment that was relevant. Now, the bigger question that I have is, we see these shops being closed on this particular day because they were selling either illicit goods or they were not trading legally. But the very next day, after the authorities leave, the same shops will be opened. Are we winning as government when it comes to this battle?
We are winning in a sense in creating awareness, but then it needs us continuously as regulators, and I think this will be the call that our Deputy Minister will be making, is that we have to be regularly be on the ground, not only as individual regulators, because in the case in point that you said is that for us to close a shop or so on, we need the what we call your environmental health practitioners to look at the supplier or that store to see if they comply. If they don't, then we close. Then they regularly have to go there to see if they are in compliance. If they're in compliance, they should allow them to open again. But if we go there as a team, we call that your blitz or your sweep. What we do is we apply all laws to a given space of space in the environment. In this case, that means in that square kilometer, we would give our efforts, all of us as regulators, make sure that all the laws apply in that area. But then what we haven't done, or then in terms of capacity constraints, we haven't been doing that regularly. The call from our minister this time is that let us do it at least every quarter. It should not be once every year, but every quarter. So we'll try to see at the resources that will be given to us when we start the financial year in April, and make sure that we are as frequently as possible doing this blitz and sweeps to make sure that at least suppliers know that at any time we can come through and enforce.
Thank you very much, Mabuza. Well, there you have it from us here at Sun City, and that was the Acting Commissioner at the National Consumer Commission, Tezi Mabuza, just giving us an idea of what World Consumer Rights Day is all about. And here today, we are going to see consumers interacting with different regulatory bodies as well as the experts from the trade, industry and competition field. And with that, studio, we give back to the sports desk.